morning and happy Tuesday, 10 at 10. I am your host, Richard Charpentier, and every Tuesday we meet to answer questions sent from bakers, answered by yours truly, certified master baker and owner of Baking Innovation. And I did start last week a little bit of a historical facts about, to me, the big inventions that revolutionized baking. And if you look behind me, you see a horse or a mule or a donkey going around. And basically, what you see here is milling the way they were milling the grains. You would put the grains on a rock with a wheel, and then they had the horse go round and round until the kernels were crushed into a flour. So again, no, this is very rudimentary milling techniques, but again, that shows that again, people didn't have the fast mills, and farmers and millers had to rely on what they have and nature offered. So rocks and animals and devices to be able to do that. And that was done during ancient Greece, where that was a way of milling, because ancient Egyptian used a mortar and pestle, basically more mashing it. So it was a lot of work. So again, that was a new invention at the time that allowed to mass produce, to get more quantities of flour faster. So again, a little bit of a history, a little bit of learning, and now let's get to your questions today. So as a first question, someone wants to know, hi, can you please highlight steps on how to use xylanase while baking bread using cassava flour? Thank you. So first of all, I've never used xylanase, an enzyme, and xylanase is an enzyme in gluten-free baking. It's usually used in regular gluten baking, with wheat flour, but nothing that I know using gluten-free. So, and right now, what I recommend is to go to Bakerpedia and look at the information that they already have on xylanase. So I will read to you what xylanase is. So xylanase is an enzyme also known as amylase. So araboxylanase, or fiber degrading enzyme. Remember, each enzyme has to have a certain substrate to work with. So if it's an amylase, it needs the amylose, it needs the carbohydrate. So this xylanase will need the fiber. So what is xylanase? Xylanase is one type of hydrolytic enzymes which targets arabinoxylin fibers naturally present in cereal flours, both refined and whole grain. It has been heavily used in the bread making industry over the last few decades, especially in the production of white bread, whole wheat bread, multigrain bread, and many other baked goods. So along with dough conditioners, xylanase will help high-speed bakers produce high-quality breads while achieving the highest process tolerance and quality. So for use in regular baking to improve, speed baking or high-volume baking. And along with the first-generation lipases and pure fungal alpha amylases, xylanase became a valuable tool for bakers who were struggling to replace or significantly reduce levels of potassium bromate and other oxidizing agents. So that's why xylanase came in place. So what is the function of xylanase? Xylanase is considered a multifaceted enzyme which does not perform just one simple function in yeast-leavened dough system. Instead, it plays different roles that positively affect the gluten starch matrix integrity. Thanks to to its action on fiber constituents and also promotes beneficial gluten fiber interaction and creates more favorable condition for further gluten hydration. So that's the information. So I wanted to make sure we were all aware what xylanase and xylanase is being used, because your question, you want to know how it's being used in cassava flour. So in cases like that, what I recommend is what I recommend to everybody. If we don't have a direct answer, is you need to do the proper R&D. Do your testing, ask your ingredient, your enzyme provider of xylanase, and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Because part of R&D is discovery and learning, doing the development work and learning of what works versus another one. And that's how you can better apply and better know what level, what works and what doesn't work. There's not one answer and one level and it's done, because again, your formulation, where is your cassava flour from, what's the level of cassava you're using, are you using yeast, are you using baking powder, are you using vinegar? So many different questions could be factors that you won't see the results. So, and it's really about sitting down and understanding your formulation, your process, and what you're trying to achieve that will give you the best answer. So, but thank you very much for sending a question. And now for another question, the last question of the day. Someone wanted to know about donuts, and someone is saying, I'm trying to make donuts. It tastes good, but it's not holding their shape. Could you help? Well, yes, we can help, but I have no clue what you're trying to do, what formulation. There's so many factors involved into why your donuts would not hold their shapes. So I will give you a short list of what potential issues can be creating that your donuts are basically not holding their shape, meaning flat. One, we'll start you using, how's your formulation? Is your formulation balanced? Do you have eggs in your formulation? What kind of flour are you using? What kind of mixing are you using? What kind of hydration are you using? Are you using any rest time? How do you cut your donuts? And what's the temperature of the dough? Are you fry? What temperature are you frying? How are you cooling? There are so many factors involved that it's simply impossible for me or for any experienced baker to pinpoint to one problem, because it's due. What I've learned over the 36 years of doing R&D and working in bakeries, it's never just one thing that creates a problem. It's always a series of several factors. And then even if I forgot is, what's the pH of your water? What's the pH? How much yeast are you using? What kind of yeast are you using? So if, on a case like that, when I work with customers, I go through a battery of questions to ensure that I understand what could be creating the problem. And then we make recommendations. Right now, all I know is your donuts are not holding their shape. That's all. So it's always good when I get more information so I can better guide you towards the right answer. But in that case, there's so many things that could be contributing to the loss of shape in a donut. So that's it for today. So thank you very much for listening to Tuesday 10 at 10. Please, feel free to leave your comments or questions, when you see the video. And I wish you all a happy Tuesday and enjoy your summer. I'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.